to the podcast. Let's welcome back Coach Nick Bandstra, finally. We just talked for about an hour. That's a whole other podcast in itself. Coach Bandstra is still the head football coach at Northwestern High School from the last time. Host of Gap Down Backer podcast, one of his 15 podcasts, I think. And he's a proud Ohio University alumni. I wanted to throw that in there for you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Only two. And really, I haven't filmed. I need to film stuff for the kick and cover. But yeah, we're bunch of YouTube videos. And yes, I am a proud graduate. I'm slowly working my way through the Ohio University staff on my podcast. So we'll see how that goes.
That's what I'm going to do too. One coach at a time.
Yeah.
Rudolph first, and then we're moving on.
Rudolph. Let's just be honest. The two gold mines for us are Rudolph and Arnett. They're the gold mines for podcasting. John Arnett should have his own podcast, like weekly podcast. The man is just a brilliant. But that's a whole nother. I sent him a text the other day, and because I edited our podcast, which will come out December 27th. So I don't know when this is coming out, but that's when what is in there. And I'll read this verbatim because I truly believe this. I sent him a text after editing that. It said, 1, you'll make a good head coach. 2, if I was in a high school coach in Texas or college coach in Texas, I would hire him immediately. And 3, he's smart as, and then I finished out with an expletive, which I'm not going to repeat right now. But I truly believe that. He is brilliant, and he's just a good human being. So I think either one of those. I know you've had Arnett on some. I know you've had Rudolph on some. So have I. And I think they're just. If you just want to listen to people who've lived life and are just smart, those are two people. It's not even that football part.
Rudolph says things very calmly. Like if I ask him a question, he'll describe it very well. Arnett makes you want to run through a wall, after he's done.
I don't understand how. Really, both of them should be head coaches right now. I truly believe that. But focusing on Arnett, how he's not a head coach at a high school in Texas, I don't know, just confuses me because his offensive lines are good. He's smart. He's articulate. And then, like I said, Rudolph is just well-versed, experienced, and, again, also gets the best out of his players. And he's loved by his kids. So, like I said, love both of them. They're both great podcast guests for both of us. But, yeah.
So, I haven't talked to Coach Bandstra all football season, and we talked a little bit. It was a rough season. We don't have to go too much. But you were a first-year head coach. My question, because I didn't get to talk to you much when you were getting the job because you were doing Sheffer's podcast a lot. You're doing a lot of things. What was something when you came into that job I always wanted to know? When you came in, what was okay, this is the first thing I'm doing? Culture, leadership. What was something you're this is what I'm doing first? One of the first things I have to do.
Part of it was I got hired late, so that kind of hampered a lot of the stuff I wanted to do. And in hindsight, I would still just do it anyways, and I didn't. That's my mistake. I made a lot of mistakes, and you learn from them. And we'll see what happens cover the course of the coming year. But obviously, I met with the team early. The thing I pushed was numbers and weight room. I was making phone calls. I was calling people. I was trying to get everybody in. When I got hired, there was 28 people that showed up for high school. The middle school was a whole other concept, but I had really that first week 28 football kids. For a Division IV school in our state's not very good. By the end of this football season, we were at 42. I'm hoping to be somewhere between 50 and 60 next year because we have a really small senior class. I have pushed numbers like no other. I have pushed the weight room like no other. That's been my focus. There's a lot of mistakes that were made. There's a lot of things I've learned. There's a lot of things getting fixed. I had a defensive staff meeting today with 3 of my current coaches and 1 new one that I'm hiring. I have good support, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, we had winter lifting today, and I just opened it up for anybody that wants to come in. Got some kids in, about what I expected. It's not like Chandler Tygart who's pulling in 30 on the first day of winter lifting, but it was a solid number, and we're getting there.
We had the exact same problem with weight room. I don't know why kids don't buy into the weight room all the time, unless you're a good program, like historically.
Yeah.
But to get these kids in a weight room, now, do you guys have like an athletic PE for weight room, or is it just trying to do in practice?
So a couple things on that. One, my incoming freshman class is bought in, which I love. Like I have a core group of kids, freshmen, sophomore, who'll be freshmen, sophomores next year that bought 100% in what we're doing weight room wise. They're in there. Like most of the kids I had today are either going to be freshmen or sophomores next year. They're in. Like I made an emphasis during the season. I made sure our 7th and 8th grade team lifted at least once a week during the season. That buy-in has happened, and I'm ecstatic about that. We have technically 2 weight rooms on our property. One that's in our school. We don't use that one. That's really basketball, volleyball, and gym use that. We have an athletic facility. I will say I am very blessed to have probably some of the best facilities in our county. And I will argue with anybody. I think if we get turf, we will have the best facilities. That's a whole nother discussion. But we have a whole athletic facility. We have a fairly large weight room. Do I wish it was a little bit bigger? Yes, because we're starting to get numbers in there, and it's pushing room. I mean, anytime you increase numbers, you're going to find out what your space limitations are. But I'm very thankful of what the athletic boosters put together before I got there. I mean, this was built a couple years ago, and it's a fantastic facility. So we're outside, we're away from everybody. We got 5 or 6 full racks, which are double-sided, very large room. But it is hard, and I think part of it is you got to get other coaches in other sports to buy in the weight room. Mm-hmm. I will say this: our track throwing coach is 100% pro weight room, and he's in there, and he's got his girls are in there busting their butts, and he does a fantastic job. I love our throwing coach; he's great. Our wrestling coach, who's new as well, has bought into the weight room. It helps one of my football coaches as one of his assistants. I've had conversations with our softball and girls soccer coaches about lifting and getting them to buy in. Our baseball coach has so far been fairly good about sending some of his kids out there, make sure they're lift. His son will be one of my freshmen next year, and he's in the weight room 2 to 3 times a week with us. So we've gotten some buy-in. It's going to take some time to fully change that. I still got some kids who ain't mandatory, so I ain't going to be there, but whatever. When a freshman or sophomore passes you because they're in there year-round, then that's what happens. I mean, that's how you learn.
Yeah, I mess with technology here, so don't mind me.
You're good.
Yeah, we all know my technology difficulties here. That's one thing at our high, because I coach at 2 different high schools, but I work at the one I coach football I work at now. Our strength and conditioning coach, I think, is finally getting pushed through an athletic PE, so teams can go lift during the day. Yeah. And then you could talk sports with them. But every coach has bought into the weight room. Basketball, track, like you said, they're buying into it, so we're trying to change it all. But that was the big one. We're dealing with the same thing you are. School of 2,000 kids, and one time they had 25 kids in the weight room. Not very good. But we're trying to change it. But we only had 40 or so on the varsity team. So we're the same exact boat. We're pushing numbers. We're pushing this. COVID hurt a lot.
Oh, yeah.
In Illinois, even, like a lot. Because
we had the conversations where you guys were throughout that period. Me and you would message each other all the time. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we've lost time. It sucks. But just got to push forward and just create buy-in. That's the best thing we can do right now.
I just created. I mean, I'm not complaining in the aspect that we played. I'm more complaining about. I just feel bad for kids. I'm not going to get too deep into it. You just saw burnout in some kids, and you couldn't blame them. Hell, yeah. I was burnt out. I'm still burnt out. I got gray hairs popping up in this beard left and right because the burnout is real. This Christmas break is going to be the best thing that's ever happened. So you push numbers, you push weight room. And I know when you got the job, you were a big culture person. Were you able to do much culture stuff because of the number situations?
I did some, and in hindsight, I didn't like how I did it. I think I did it poorly. I didn't do it the way I needed to do it. I needed a better plan, and I think I'm starting to implement what I want now. So we put together a leadership council for our kids. I had them vote at the end of the season, and I have kids that are currently 8th graders through 11th graders on there. I hate the all senior stuff. So, and that's class is small anyways. So I have representation from all of them. That's where we're starting to do stuff. I'm going to buy a lot of apparel here soon. We talk about things, but we're heading there. Like I said, it's going to take time, and I think I'm getting my assistants also where I need them culturally too. It's change. It's also hard to create just staff camaraderie in 2 months. I mean, it's a whole off season. I mean, there's that conversation about clinics and whether they're actually useful. And a lot of college coaches instead do film study and meet like with staffs individually. I think clinics are useful, and hell, I produce a lot of them. But what in-person clinics I think do better than anything, it's for staff camaraderie. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have individual professional development. There's things you can pick up from clinics, and you should try to pick one thing from every clinic. But the ability to go away as a staff, to get together, to do things, I think that is a paramount thing, especially at high school. I mean, because college, you're with these people all day long anyways. Like, you're going to build staff camaraderie. At high school, you're not. Some of these people don't work in your building. It depends on state, but some people don't work in your building. Some work different jobs. Like, it's an interesting dynamic. So I think that's kind of where we're shifting to. And I'm very looking forward to in-person clinics. Like, obviously we have our state clinic coming up, which I'm trying to see if our state association needs anything. Obviously I was a big part of that last year. In setting that up, me and Coach Bartley were kind of the two that led the charge in getting all those speakers. I'm probably going to go to Cincinnati Glacier. I don't think I'll stay at a hotel, but I'll at least drive down. It's only about an hour from here every day, so it ain't too bad. We're talking about either going to Chicago or Nashville's Glacier and staying in a hotel there. And then I know Kenny Simpson's doing some stuff. I might try to pop in for one in like Cincinnati or something. I haven't really decided on that one yet. I'm talking to my staff about that. And then I'm probably going to try to visit a college or two. Maybe take half my staff for summer in there. I would love to go down to Ohio University, obviously. It's my alma mater. Athens is beautiful. And I get along with a lot of their coaches very well. They're good people. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. I think that's kind of one of my big focal points of staff camaraderie. And then kind of building from there. We're having a lot of talks right now with our leadership council about leadership, kind of what that looks like. We're reading, because I always forget the exact name. Jeff Jansen's the team captain's leadership manual. We used it at Fairborn 1 year. I'm using it here. I think it's a good resource. It's a week by week process. We split actually really week 1 into 2 weeks. But it talks about what leadership is, what it looks like. And then we also talk about some other things. Okay, I changed the color of our helmet. What do we want on the helmet? What are your thoughts on X, Y, Z? You need to talk to so-and-so because I tell them I'm pretty much done with them and fed up with them. So you guys need to have some of these conversations. Because, we're going to win some football games next year. It ain't going to be like this year. We will turn this around. And then we just have other conversations. Could be about school, could be about grades, could be about lifting, could be whatever. I always give them an open forum at the end. If there's any problems, speak up now. We really haven't brought up too much, but they're going to come. I know they will. But that's kind of where we're at. And we kind of I've kind of taken on the mantra, play for 11. has kind of become my mantra. Play for the 11 on the field, 11 hats to the ball, play for an 11th game. It's kind of a threefold thing right now. That's kind of our mantra with our program is, we get 16 teams in a region that make the playoffs. So really in our region, you need to 4 and 6 might get you in. 5 and 5 probably gets you in. 6 and 4 guarantees you in. 7, 8 games, you're talking about a home game. So that's kind of been out of 28 teams. I don't even know what it is. That's been my mantra. Play for 11. Let's play for an 11th football game. Let's 11 hats to the ball. Play for the 11 on the field. 11 units is one. Everybody do their job. And that's kind of where my focus has been. And the kids are starting to buy into what we're doing. I mean, we're going to have 6 home games. I would love to get a 7th if we can get a top 8 seed. And that's kind of our focal point is play for 11.
If you go to Chicago, let me know, because that's probably right down the street. It's the Oak Brook one, right? In Oak Brook?
Yeah. I went to the Chicago one a couple years ago. I thought it was good. I'm not overly impressed with the Glazier lineups right now.
Yeah.
They're changing, and it's just I just remember them being better. I don't know. Maybe my standard has risen because of Granddaddy, because of me, because of Chief Pigskin to a point, because of the 14 other YouTube channels that have stuff on them. Even like private stuff, like John Arnett had a bunch of O-line clinics during COVID, like private group things with a lot of Texas coaches I got to sit on. Like, I mean, my standard is high. It is, and I don't have time for it. And I have a lot of this is not me trying to showboat by any means. I don't like doing that. I don't like talking about myself. I got to do a clinic next month, and I really don't want to do it, but I'm doing it because a friend's asked me to. I don't like talking in front of people. But I have decent resources, so if I need film, I probably can get it. So like, my standard is higher than other people for clinics. I like state clinic. I'm going to go to because I'm going to support my state association. That I will go to no matter what. I'll probably end up working it because I care about the state of our athletics in our state. Mm-hmm. Laser needs to pick up their game. The vault's better. I'll give them that. The vault sucked when they brought it out. It's much better than what it was. I'll give them that credit. It's improved. It's still not where I think it could be. But again, I also have high standards. I compare every website. This is probably not a good comparison to Netflix, because Netflix, as horrible as their selection has become, their setup is great. It's easy to find stuff. Everything's sorted. You can save stuff. Everything picks up exactly where you left off at. Great. And that's why I compare everything to, and theirs is not that. And that's also part of my problem with Coach 2, because it doesn't save exactly where I stop. It seems if you leave a section, you finish that section, which I have a problem with too. But that's one other conversation. That's where YouTube's also pretty good. YouTube is exactly where you left off at. So, like I said, I have high standards for things. This is a whole nother set of rants. But like I said, and we'll see. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go. I think we'll probably end up going to Chicago. As much as I would love to go to Nashville, because I just love the city. It's a great place, great time. But we'll kind of see where speakers end up. If I could take more time off, I would probably go somewhere a little farther. I would love to go to the Vegas one, and not because it's Vegas, but because it's far away. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to get away. And also give me a chance to meet one of my buddies who's in Utah. Then I would love to go like Charlotte or New Orleans. Like, I just go away, like, to warm weather, because it's like 40 degrees outside, and I don't like the cold.
I'm just saying, if you go, let me know, because it's 18 minutes down the street where that hotel is.
I don't remember what was the date on that one.
There's 2 of them.
Yeah, I was thinking this. The first one's like a combination one that I didn't care about. And the second one has Jim Knowles, who I really like, who I've had on my channel, by the way. If anybody wants to look that up, Jim Knowles, one of the few people I've had him on so far. It's the March 4th one, March 4th through 6th.
Yeah, see, I'll be done with basketball. See, there we go.
Yeah, like because the other ones like football and track, and no hating on track. I think track's a very good resource. But even though I'm now looking at that one, and they have some good. Yeah, they actually have a decent lineup for that one.
Yeah, I think the February one's not very good.
Yeah. Well, just I don't know. I'm just picky. I'm just
Yeah, if it's in Oak Brook, I can go. If it's in the city, forget that. I'm not going to the city.
no. They're usually in like the nicer. I mean,
Oh yeah, Oak Brook is. I don't care if it's on the podcast. Oak Brook is pinkies up type of people. That's where they put it. So it's pretty nice.
yeah, it's Oak Brook. So
Yep.
I mean, if it's one I've been to before, if it's the same location, it's a nice hotel, nice
Yep.
area.
Yep.
But yeah,
It's a little bit away from everything, and then right down the street you have this main strip where there's a bunch of restaurants.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also,
yeah.
like that's yeah. It's also I think a lot of us are dealing with burnout, and I need to get away. That's why I'm going to Texas next week. Is obviously visit family, but just to get away, it needs to.
I went to the Cincinnati one 2016,
Yeah.
and I liked it. But you're right. The best, they had a good lineup. I can't remember everybody, but the best time was we left, walked down the street, went around this corner, found this restaurant, where coaches go afterwards, they go out and
Yeah.
do stuff. And every speaker was there, this hole in the wall place. And that was the best. And I'll tell you this, you want to talk about Kiffin, this coach that was there, he coaches in Georgia, he's a high school coach, tells us how he makes like $100,000 a year just coaching high school ball. And he talks about how he's friends with Lane Kiffin. And we didn't believe him. Pulls out his phone and calls him right there. And he goes, I want you to say hi to these coaches. And he was like, hi. And then you could hear him go like, what the hell am I doing? Like that was kind of his thing. Like, what am I doing? But like,
It is what it is.
those are the best. That we walked in, it was just a hole in the wall place. We walked in, every speaker was there. You had your own sit down one-on-one with them. And those are the best with in-person clinics.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like it's just, I mean, I get some of these college coaches don't want to answer every question known to man, and I think that's where us as guests need to be smarter. Like, let's not harass our speakers, but I think that's where some of these coaches do a really good job of being personable and being involved in stuff. Yeah. And going back to like my standard, I know a lot of people, so if I have a question, I just text or call them. Alan Rudolph I'm not gonna say we're like close friends, but he's a friend of mine. And if I have a question, he usually gets back to me when he can. I sent Coach Vass a question during the season. He got back to me. I mean, there's good people in our profession. As long as don't ask them dumb questions, and you don't be a-holes to them, they'll usually be good to you. Like, that's just a fact of it. Like,
that's why I don't ask Vass any questions, because I'm afraid. I am afraid.
I said, I didn't go like super articulate with it. Like, again, when I had him on my podcast, we didn't go super deep into some stuff because I'm not that smart. Like
I think Arnett, if I were to send him a message, no matter how dumb it would be, he would answer it in the best way ever. If I sent Vass a message, I'd be afraid. I'd be like, Steve, this is dumb. This is the dumbest question you could probably ask this guy.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you want to get smarter, listen to Vass's stuff. That's the easiest way to say it is. I'm gonna sit down over this break and over this trip to Texas and listen to probably I have like 4 or 5 of his podcasts circled to listen to. Because I want to. I'm how do I want to phrase this? There were some events that happened towards my end of my tenure at Fairborn that really hurt some of my desire. I'm not going to get onto them in podcasts or some things that whatever. But I've got a renewed vigor for certain things, like scheme point. Like I got really big into culture, and that was kind of my focal point first year at Northwestern. Okay, we introduced basic schemes, and now I've hired some really good coaches who can coordinate and handle, and we can develop our schemes even further. And I've gotten really back into. I'm going back to my roots on defense. There are certain things I'm really interested in right now that I'm getting heavy into, and it's exciting. I'm putting together this new defensive playbook, and I'm excited. Like, we spoke for an hour and a half on defense and talking fronts and coverages, and it was good time. Yeah. So.
Nope, I was in the same boat years ago. I was never going to coach again, and then I didn't, and then I did. And I'll say right now, Coach Walters, he coaches at Lombard East up here in the suburbs. To me, he's the best high school coach in the state of Illinois just because of things that he does.
Yeah.
I've seen him take a program that had made a playoff since 1999. And when I got there, we went 9-0 in 2018. Not made the playoffs since 1999. We made the playoffs. Win a first-round playoff game, go 10-0. Then we saw East St. Louis second round, and that was it. That was enough. It was over. Then the next year, they go 8-1. The next year, in the COVID year, I think they went 5-1. Then they go 7-2 this year. So, like, he's got it rolling. So I learned some things, and I've taken pieces everywhere I've gone ever since then, and he loves it. Loves it. I've implemented it. Where it involves weight room, if it involves, if you want to talk about culture and like attendance, they had to earn their stickers on their helmets, certain percentages of getting there. Team dinners, those are big culture things, getting the team together. He did that they never did. Play music at practice. I never seen that until he did. They bring a speaker out, and he's like, we can't be old school. We have to adapt to what they do. And I'm the old school guy, like, get that freaking speaker out of here and, like, break it because we don't need music playing. Nope. He's like, we'll play music. They earn their stickers. I think it's the third or fourth day of practice when the season starts. They travel and go do something overnight and practice somewhere else. It's really cool. Just big culture stuff. And I've taken it wherever I went. There's something else I was going to ask you. So you're going back to your roots. That means I can expect you to run wing T next year. Is this the roots we're talking about?
Well, I mean, if you go to my roots would have been bad inside zone, throwing like crazy, and a 7-1 diamond defense. I'm not going that back to my roots. If I went back to my first year, 2 years at coaching.
Did you hire Bennett to come put in the pistol wing tee?
No.
I started to watch that one today, just so you know. I started to watch it.
Thank you. We filmed that back in. I'd have to look at the date for when we actually filmed that. But yeah, I mean, and part of it was intentional not to post on there because they hadn't run the double wing package yet, and he wanted me to like wait a little bit. And so I was like, you know what? I'll just set it for December. Mm-hmm. That way the season's over. There's no hint at it, and that's and to a point, like I get like there's no really hiding scheme anymore. It's now play calling is the great equalizer, as one of my upcoming podcasts is titled. Check that out in January. I'm plugging like crazy today. If you can't, I've just become shameless at it.
You won't get any more listeners being on my podcast. It's not.
But there's still stuff I'm saving. We're putting together. I don't want to give away my hand too much yet. But no, there's going to be some instrumental changes, scheme wise, culture wise, how we practice. I'm in the middle of a watch. Like I'm watching a lot of stuff right now, more than I probably have in years. And so I'm listening to. I put it out. Ken, the new offense coordinator at Oregon. I asked for his number on Twitter the other day, which I still haven't got. So if anybody knows,
again, you're not going to get anything from me. I'm not
Billingham. You never know. Ken Dillingham. He was the offensive coordinator at FSU. I'm listening to his clinic right now on both ball security, but also how their week is broken down. I'm very I'm gonna put out some YouTube videos here soon asking about how people structure their week because there's got to be a better way. I think there's always a better way to things, and I think in reading Cody Alexander's Anger Points book, if you're static, you're dead. Static equals death, and I think that's where we kind of got to change.
I don't think I have that one. No.
I'm on page 98 of 290 something. It might be one of the best books I've ever read. And I'm not doing that to like plug anything. Cody's like I'm not getting paid for any of it. But it's a fantastic book. It's a simple read.
I do shameless plugs all the time. Coach Mac's hat. If I ever wear it, I go, hey, just go check it out.
So
when I was at a school, speaking of reading books, we made them read Extreme Ownership. That was a good one for them.
Extreme Ownership, yeah, we did that our third year at Fairborn. Like I said, there's some good. I mean, it really depends. I'll probably cycle. I think my plan, my leadership council, is a cycle through like 4 books. So a different one each year. That way, new people on the council don't have to read the same. Old people don't have to adjust to new people. Like, just it's a cycle through. I think is where we're going to kind of head towards. I'm also actively, while we're talking, putting in lifting and conditionings into our team calendar. So I'm probably aggravating about half my kids and coaches because they're getting notification after notification because it's not notifications every time I put something in the calendar. Beautiful.
Another good one. This podcast will go off the rails. You're not going to get anything off of this. Another good book I read that maybe called Relentless. It's by Tim Grover.
I've heard of it, yeah.
He trained Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade. It's a good one. That'd be a good one to read, talking about that. Talking about like if you're a cleaner, if you're like he defines people like Kobe and Dwayne Wade and Michael Jordan are this label, and this is why they're the best. And then LeBron James is this. And so I liked it because he said LeBron James wasn't this, but he goes deeper into that. It wasn't all like we're gonna talk crap about LeBron James. It was him seeing these guys up close and personal of all this stuff. Or, of course, Nick Saban, Making of a Coach. That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
I'm just looking. And, of course, Ed Odron's book, poor Ed. If somebody can give me his number, I don't care. I will dive deep into that one.
God bless that man. Like, I mean, he hired people that weren't the right fits for what they were doing. I mean, that's just. I'm not saying they're bad coaches who he hired. They just weren't a fit for what they were doing, and it just wasn't successful. And the other thing is the standard is higher. I mean, when you win national title, the expectation becomes you keep winning national titles. I mean, that's the expectation. This isn't.
Yeah, I mean, but when you've got 20 injuries as well, that did not help. I remember they put up a thing, and he was like, "Oh, he's out 8 defensive players. He's out 2 offensive linemen. He's out this receiver." And I'm like, oh, my God. And then they get Kelly. What the hell are you doing?
That I didn't see that coming, in all honesty.
That was a panic hire. That's what I call an old-fashioned panic.
But did you see what they offered Jimbo before they moved on to him? They offered Jimbo like $120 million over the course of like 10 years or whatever. Yeah. And he turned that down. And so, I mean, they really got Kelly on the cheap. But it was also a reaction to losing out on Riley, who took the USC job. That's
when you lose to Riley and you lose out on Kiffin because he signed an extension.
And you lost out on Mel Tucker, and you lost out on Rhonda. Yep. Like, your top 4 to 5 candidates were all gone.
Cristobal didn't want to leave unless it was to Miami.
Yeah, that's the only place I think that's the only place he would have left Oregon for was Miami.
Yeah, I call that an old-fashioned panic hire. And then you see the video with him and the quarterback dancing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what we've come to.
That has become my favorite video. I don't know what that is, and I don't know if that's good or bad for recruiting, but that might be one of the best things I've ever seen in my entire life. I love it.
I have
I mean,
nightmares.
it is beautiful. It made my day. We had that in the group chat, and we were just losing our mind. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire life.
I couldn't even send it in a text to the coaches. I was like, I don't want you guys to even look at this. It's so terrible. Then I walk in, and they're like, Steve, did you see this?
It is. I mean, he earned his $100 million right there with that.
Jesus Christ.
Like, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like, I don't enjoy those public funds because that is just beautiful.
Oh my God. I can't wait for Coach Sheffer to start his back up because these conversations with all that's going to be. I'll be prepared because I do those weekly podcasts. I dive deep. I look at shit. And I'm like, I'm ready to go if he starts it up.
Yeah. I mean,
not UTSA stuff. That's all you. But the rest of it, going into that game with Illinois, I told my two friends, are Illinois fans, I said, listen, don't be shocked if Illinois loses. And they said, why? And I said, because Coach Bandstra on here gave us reasons as to why.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the roster because I think that one wide receiver went to Texas and transferred. I was like, that guy's going to kick our ass. And by God, it did.
Yeah. I mean, people thought I was crazy, but I'm like, Jeff Traylor is a fantastic football coach. Like, he's just good. He's got good staff. They recruit well. They have good facility. Like, it's a sleeping giant. Like, I mean, I'm sad they lost that game towards the end of the year, but it is what it is. But he's built something there, and I love that is that is a dream job for me to be able to UTSA and Texas State, which are rivals, ironically. But I love those two parts of Texas. They're just you're not too close to the ocean, so it's not too humid. The people are fantastic. The food is great. The weather is amazing. It's like that belt of towns between San Antonio and Austin are just amazing.
We were thinking about going to Texas for the convention.
I just wish the convention wasn't during the middle of the week.
Right. That's the issue.
I'd have to use all my personal days right in my one PD day there immediately. And it's just that's why that's where COVID sucked, because that one was going to be in Lexington.
Yeah. So
it's close and it would have been doable, but whatever. They need to put one either in Indianapolis or Columbus. That's where they need to do them. Because neither one of those are bad drives for me.
No, it wouldn't be bad for us either, because we'd have to get plane tickets. But if it's in Ohio or something, we could just drive. We can get a school vehicle and go. And
Indianapolis is just right down 70. It's not
It's not bad.
No.
Before I get this podcast too more off the rails, so with your kids, they had to play both ways, right? Offense and defense. So how'd you structure your practice planning with that?
Originally it was, so I'm just going to go in season. In season, it was originally Mondays, mostly special teams and a little bit of both. Tuesday was offense. Wednesday was defense. Obviously, at the end of practice, you do a little bit. Thursday was rehash everything and do our Thursday. As the season went on, it kind of split into 50-50 Tuesday and Wednesday offense and defense. And I think that's really a better model. I'll say this: if I break 50 to 55 kids this year, we have a chance to, I might be full to platoon and just go. There's still going to be some kids that have to play both ways. Our depth isn't there yet. We're still too young. I think in our year that would be a doable thing. We just still have so much youth that I don't know if we're ready for that many one-way guys. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Because when I was at Lombardi's, I was talking about with Coach Walters, we had 53 on varsity, and we had just an offense, just a defense. but we had about 4 or 5 kids that would go learn the other thing. So if there was a moment in practice where they could, because it was a college practice, you walked in, this half was offense, this half was defense. The only time we saw each other was inside running team, and it was awesome. But there were times where, hey, if we're about to do an inside run or a team that's more defensive minded for right now, they would go learn defense. And then when we got to the offensive part, they would come with us. And that was awesome. And those practices did not take very long. This year, at the school I'm at now, we are not so fortunate to have that. So we did that where, like you guys did, but see, for us, Mondays were JV games. So you're talking about us coming in, we couldn't do much because most of the kids went to play JV. So Monday was a film day where Steve yelled at them big time for something. It's a funny story. Every time we walk into a film session, I have to walk into my lineman, put my computer down, and I go, all right, is film personal? No, it's not personal, Coach Steve. Is Coach Steve going to love you when we walk outside of this door? Yes, he's going to love us when they walk out the door. But is it going to be rough in here? Yes. And one time, a teacher had walked by, and I guess they went to the head coach, are those kids okay? There's somebody yelling. And they go, that's Steve. It's fine. It's all good. Yeah, it was just heavy film and weightlifting. And then Tuesday we split it 50-50, and Wednesday we split it 50-50. But we tried really hard to make like a Tuesday a varsity offensive emphasis and the JV defensive emphasis. We tried really hard. But with the injuries we had, so we found what you did. 50-50 was the best way to go. There was no other way to do it. So I was just curious how you did it, because I was like, that's what we had to do. When I was in high school, we did it where it was Tuesday all offense and Wednesday all defense, and I hated it. Hated it so much. And then how did you find weightlifting time? Would you do it after practice, before practice?
So we would go immediately after school. So Monday, Wednesday in season, we lifted. I did a little bit Saturday too, but Monday, Wednesday, directly after school, they'd go to the athletic facility lift. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, yoga. I mean, I don't know if that actually helped. I'd have that, like, because where we were strength wise, I'd have to see a full another year of it. But I was big on the stretching, the yoga. Also allowed coaches time to get there too, the ones that don't work in the building. My middle school did yoga on game day on their Thursdays, and then Fridays they would lift. So our kids, so Friday, our middle school kids would come in lift, and by the time they were done, our varsity kids would come in, do their yoga and stretching before we get on a bus or do all of our pregame stuff. So, like I said, those became big focal points for me.
So you're in control of the middle school too?
Yeah, I have great. My middle school head coach is amazing. He is fantastic. I love him to death. He's great at what he does and was fully supportive of everything we did. And so here they'd come in with one of my high school assistants. They'd lift on Fridays, stretch on Thursdays, do their yogas. I mean, obviously kids think yoga is a little goofy, but I'm like, it's good for you. Helps flexibility, helps stretching.
So did you get to pick who ran the middle school, or do they get to pick that?
I had full say over it. I kind of a longtime volunteer that school had who's kind of helped everywhere and ran our youth organization at one point. Is who I kind of put in charge of, and he's done a great job. Just because I mean, most of the assistants by the time I got there were gone. Uh-huh. They were choosing not to coach, or they'd taken their jobs, and so I kind of almost built from scratch.
Was that one of the reasons why you wanted the job? Because that seems like a huge thing, because like in Illinois, you don't have a say in a lot of that stuff. So you have to go meet with wherever and say, this is what we're doing. You need to do some of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a pain.
I don't know if that was a big reason why I took the job. I think that was a good factor.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, did you look at that and go, oh, like this could actually help with the culture stuff?
typically like this inner city jobs or the school districts that have multiple middle schools and multiple high schools, you don't necessarily get that say. But we're pretty fortunate. Middle school, high school, or it's all one school district in one school district.
Mm-hmm.
Middle school, high school are together in the same building.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
So that kind of helps. But that was a conversation we had in terms of staffing and what I was able to do. And then I obviously talked to my administrators. Okay, what do you think about X, Y, Z? What can you tell me about him or this? I think I mean, you want to have control of your staff, but also I think you're dumb if you don't get key players' inputs on things.
How many kids go to your school then, if the middle school's in there?
I say we're somewhere between, and this is boys and girls, 1 to 120 per class. So, we're probably talking, we probably have somewhere between 600 and 800 kids in our building.
Oh, I thought it was
I'll
a
be
bigger
mindful.
school.
Some of those kids go like the career center. Some go to STEM. So not everybody's like in my building. Some kids are on half days. Like 7 through 12, we're probably 600 to 800, but we probably have, I don't know, 500 to 600 in our building.
So when I sit here and tell you we have 2,000, that's like mind blowing.
No, because I've coached, like that's D1 in our state. So I've done that before. When I was at Westland, we had 1,700 kids in our building, like in the building, not counting what went to career center or STEM or whatever. There, like the hallways were jam packed. There's staff members to this day I'd never met because we had so much staff. But that is what that is. It's not like mind blowing. I did live in Texas for 7 years, and that's a whole nother concept right there.
Because at a school I was at before, they had 4,000, and I didn't work there, but I would be pulling into the school when they were getting out of school. And if I was 3 minutes off the time of pulling into that school, and all 4,000 were leaving at the same time, you want to talk about you're going to sit there for a while. I can't tell you how many times I texted the head coach, I'm here. I can see the school. I'm just stuck on the street because you got 4,000 kids walking out. And there's a school we played this year. I think a great guy you could have. His name's Coach Grayson. He's a DC up here at Morton High School. I've had him on once. It was awkward. I've talked to him before, and then he gets this DC head job, and I'm like, you realize we play each other now, right? So, it was kind of weird. But it was a cool way to meet him for the first time, kicked our ass, because we had 6 kids get knocked out of the game. They pull from 2 high schools, and if they were to make the playoffs in Illinois, they'd be the biggest enrollment in Illinois, it'd be 8,000. They pull from 8,000 kids for their football team, for their basketball team. Like, good Lord in heaven. Now, see, to me, I'm like that's an explosion. Because we have 8 classes in Illinois. There's 8 classes for football.
Yeah.
And then I think there's 3 or 4 for basketball and track. Or maybe there's just 3.
That also never makes sense to me, how one sport has that many and the other sport has that many less. Like, we had the same thing in our state, and I'm just like, why? But whatever. It's a whole nother.
I don't know, because there's some schools that don't have football in Illinois. Like, they just have basketball or just have baseball. But you do have a ton of schools in Illinois that co-op for football, so I don't know if that's why I don't know. And we don't have regions, we have conferences, which is fine with me, because when you looked at regions, it was going to screw over the middle of Illinois and the southern Illinois. Like, it was just going to screw everything up. But I was thinking of enrollment, I was like 8,000 kids. It was crazy. That's more than the Chicago Public School. Like, they're right on the outskirts of the city, too. And fun story about that school, real quick. When we played them last year in the spring, we couldn't use our headsets there because right behind the stadium, there's a whole line of restaurants, and it would pick up the drive-through through the wireless headsets. So you couldn't use them.
Fantastic.
You would randomly hear all right, that'll be 1029, and you're like, what the hell was that? Because it would just pick it up. Then if you said something, I think I said what the F, and they're like, excuse me, because they could hear what we were saying. through the drive-through, and I was like, this is hilarious. This is like Impractical Joker stuff we could be doing right now, just like throwing stuff out there. It's real funny.
That is awesome.
Did you have to be an OC or a DC this year, or could you just be like the head
Yeah, I had to
coach?
call the offense, and I mean, I sucked at it. And I mean, there's a lot of things I have to do over scheme wise, and yeah, there's just a lot of things I'd do over. It is what it is. You kind of have to wear the hat because I didn't have anybody to bring. I mean, when you get hired June 1, there's nobody really available. That's the thing. And most people aren't going to leave their jobs June 1, and I get that and I respect it. But it makes things hard. I have tentatively hired an offensive coordinator for next year, and I'll announce that after the beginning of the year.
It was going to be me, but I turned it down.
Yeah. I've asked you to come to Ohio. You know that.
Not my decision.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, hell, I think I asked you after I got hired. I told you we'll find you something. But, I mean, I think I've put together a pretty good staff. I'm not going to probably actively coordinate next year as of right now. I'll be very involved in both sides of the ball, probably more defensively than anything, just because that's kind of where my current passions are. I'm getting really excited listening to some people and looking at some stuff. I think this Cody Alexander book, in all honesty, is one of the things that's helping. The Anchor Points book has kind of been a very eye-opening for me in terms of just overall defense. So we'll see. And I'm divvying up more responsibilities that I kind of try to do too much on my own last year, and so it is what it is.
The real reason why he didn't hire me, guys, is because I would have ran mesh 15 times in a row.
I have no problem with mesh. I would
have ran mesh 15.
I even installed Y cross towards the end of the year.
Oh my God, we didn't get there.
No, we got there. We didn't run it well. I'm not going to say we didn't, and we threw the speed out more than anything. But it's a whole nother conversation. I have no problem with mesh. If somebody knows how to teach it, you can run it. I don't know mesh well enough to teach it. I don't. That's the thing. Like I'm not. I've talked to Hal Mummy, but I ain't even remotely smart as Hal Mummy. So, like I said, I don't pretend to understand the mesh and the proper reads and all that lovely jibber jabber. But the Y cross I can understand. Y cross is not a complicated. I know you're going to tell me mesh isn't either, but Y cross is super easy.
It's easy. It's if you want to talk about an intermediate throw to a long throw, that's the best. Especially if you're on run smash on the backside of it, and it's just
Y cross is easy. Like it's not a rocket science concept.
Yeah, you didn't want to hire me, guys, because I would have ran mesh or inside zone 15 times in a row.
Inside zone, no. I tried inside zone this year. It just didn't work. It doesn't work with our kids.
We struggled with it too, but it was.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, I don't pretend to be Alan Rudolph or John Arnett. Going back to them, I bet if I could afford to hire one of those two, I bet we could probably run inside zone. But those two men have taught zone schemes for 20 plus years and are really good at what they do.
Oh yeah, I thought I knew inside zone, and then this year struggling with it. I'm like, yeah. And then I want to deep dive more into it somehow, and wide zone.
It's not like I have like 85 clinics on my YouTube channel that you can.
I know I can do that, but then a part of me is like, I need to talk to them personally. You know,
just visit Ohio University this spring. Go there this spring and just talk to Alan at a practice and watch him teach it.
I'm thinking about if I don't coach track this year.
I mean, I would go there. Who else runs inside zone like really well? That isn't like humongously big. I mean, most of the MAC schools run some variation of inside zone. You also need to go try to talk to Ball State's O-line coach.
I want to talk to, believe it or not, and you're going to laugh at me just because I'm a fan. I want to talk to U of I more because they ran you don't have to curse. I can. They ran the shit of inside zone and wide zone. A shitload.
Art Miller's the O-line coach, right?
He's the O-line coach, and Peterson he was the OC at App State.
I know. I don't know. I know Bart. I don't know him well. He's got a clinic on my channel.
Yeah, he does power.
What did he do on my channel?
I think he did power.
No, he did individual drill work and off-season development for offensive linemen.
I got to meet him this summer, which was cool. I got to meet Bielema, which was cool. Big boy. But that's another guy I want on the podcast. I tweeted out about it 3 times a month to someone to get him on there. I'll tell you this about Bielema. I don't know if I told you guys this last time. We're just sitting there watching the O-line, D-line camp that they had. And all the coaches are running it besides him. You know, he's not running it. He's out doing something else. They had recruits there. I think he was showing the campus. We're sitting there watching. All of a sudden, we hear this voice echoing through the stadium. And we're like, what? And you could hear his voice before you saw him. His voice just carried. And he walked in, and we were like, that's a guy you don't want to see in a dark alleyway because he's a big guy. Awkward, though. He has the Iowa Hawkeye calf tattoo. So that was...
Well, I mean, he did go there.
I know, but still.
I mean, I like I said, I was a little critical to hire initially. But, I mean, he seemed like he did everything correctly when he got hired. Reaching out to the state association, reaching out to high school coaches.
Still,
inviting people on campus. I mean, inviting people on campus. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, time will tell. It's not an easy job, and it's not, especially given the current state of the conference when you have Mel Tucker, Brian Day, James Franklin, Harbaugh, what's his face at Purdue, who's solid, PJ Fleck at Minnesota, Ferentz at Iowa. Like, I mean, it's not like there's some good coaches.
They still do. Those coaches are required to call the coaches twice a month. Like, they're required to. He's flipped some Illinois recruits back. Give about 2 or 3 more years, and I think they'll win about 8 games. I think. We'll see. That's a Sheffer podcast topic where you and Bennett can come after me for Illinois, but
like I said, I think they made a good hire. Like,
besides the 9 overtimes, the 9 overtime game pissed me off. I'm like, would they just throw a touch? Like, Jesus.
I know, but game management problems are going to happen. Like, stuff's going to happen. Like, that's life. I mean, how many times have NFL coaches been eviscerated on TV about?
Well, no, we just didn't have a quarterback. I'm like, Jesus, just make the pass. And
that's not his fault either.
No, it's not his fault. I'm just like, we need a quarterback. It's something bad.
I mean, this is really his. I mean, I wouldn't even count this year as his first recruiting class because you're still so limited on scholarships because of COVID. Like, I mean, you're probably talking a whole nother year before he gets his first true class in.
Yeah, his recruiting class right now is not bad, but they're going to be young again. The whole line's leaving, but they had to recruit a lot of O-linemen. They have to get some wide receivers. Walters, that defense coordinator, is going to leave here within 2 years. He'll be gone because he took that defense and just ramped it up. And they played much better. He'll be a head coach, guaranteed. That's a guy you could try to reach out to.
You'll get an SEC or bigger, like Big Ten or Pac-12 school to poach him.
Well, that's why, like, when the defense started playing better, did you see, like, immediately after we did pretty well, they gave him a contract extension. They were like, we've got to pay him. And they did.
But still, you're still not going to match SEC money. I mean, that's...
No, they just try to slow down the process of, like, if he's going to get poached now, and they offered him the money, which Illinois never does. I will say that. Illinois would never have offered him more money, ever. Because they're cheap, and the state of Illinois sucks. But that's besides the point. What else was I going to ask you? Oh, I know. To slowly wrap it up. How do you feel about your Bengals being relevant?
They still suck.
They won yesterday, didn't they? Or
I don't. I don't care. They're still horrible. I mean, they lost to the Jets and the Bears. I mean, I'll say that alone. 8-6. That's great. It's beautiful, but they're horrible. They're still not great. They can't run the ball. They have a bunch of injuries. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping they make the playoffs. Right now, it's going to be a struggle because they are back into their schedule is brutal. And losing, and I know you're a Bears fan, but losing the Bears and the Jets, I mean, they should be 10-4 right now. Those are two teams you should not have lost to. You let the undrafted dude or 7th round draft dude throw 4 touchdowns on you and like 380 yards, and you let Bears, who are abysmal, beat you.
The Bears are terrible,
and they make no sense. Like you lose to the Packers because you can't make a field goal. You beat the Ravens by 38 points.
Yeah.
You demolished the Steelers as well. And then you beat the Broncos by just kicking field goals all night. And then you lose to the Jet. Like, it makes no sense. They've made some changes. I think the best thing they did was hire Frank Pollock back as their line coach. I mean, the offensive line is a little different than last year, but a lot of the improvements is because of him. I mean, that's just the short version. Frank Pollock is a really good offensive line coach. No, but I mean,
at least they're not 4-9.
When they win a playoff game, talk to me.
Hey,
I get to see it in my lifetime. So that's when I will be. That's my standard right now. Win a playoff game. It's not make the playoffs. It's not have a losing season. It's been 30 years, and I've yet to see a win.
I hope the Bears fire Nagy, and then the Bengals hire Nagy as the OC.
I mean, I don't really care. I mean, there's just too much that needs fixed. I mean,
hey, at least Joe Burrow looks like a competent quarterback.
Oh yeah, I mean, it helps when you have 3 really good athletes at wide receiver too. I mean, I compare their receiving core to when they had Chris Henry, Chad Johnson, and T.J. Houshmandzadeh. That's pretty much.
Yeah, that was deadly back in the day.
And that's what they really have right now. Tyler Boyd is really just another version of T.J. Houshmandzadeh.
Mm-hmm.
He's really a very good route runner that catches the ball. He's probably a little bit better athlete, I would guess. Jamar Chase is like Chad Johnson. It's Chad Johnson 2.0. And T. Higgins is just another version of Chris Henry. And you had Rudy Johnson at running back. That's essentially what Mixon is at running back. I mean, again, win a playoff game.
Hey, the Bears just have to win a game, so at least you're ahead.
No, just I've raised my standards, Steve.
We did in 2018 when we had the doink. We were like, okay, we got to take the next step, and then we don't, and then we think Justin Fields is the answer.
You guys should never let what's his face go become a head coach of Denver. You should have promoted him immediately.
Yep.
It's what I said about Mike Zimmer when Mike Zimmer left the Bengals.
Fangio.
Yeah. I mean,
we should have let Lovie Smith go.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but there's also a thing about staying somewhere too long.
Yeah, but you go 10-6 and you get fired.
Well, Jim Caldwell went 10-6. He got fired. Look what turn the Lions into. I mean,
well, that's just the curse of the Lions. That's just. Yeah.
I mean, you finally had. I mean, poor Jim Caldwell. That man deserves another shot. And if the Jaguars don't hire Byron Leftwich, they need to hire Jim Caldwell.
Oh yeah, I was going to tell you to read Urban Meyer's book, but it might not mean the same anymore.
I'm not going to express my opinion on Urban Meyer on a podcast. I think you know what my opinion is. I think I've put it in other conversations we've had. I'm just going to say I feel vilified, and that's all I'm going to leave on that conversation.
I just want everybody to know when I did the Urban Meyer, my podcast topic, is it time to move on? I had a nice story about Urban Meyer that I made up about his night in his whiskey bar. And I thought it was funny. I thought it was.
Yeah.
People go listen to it. I thought it was funny. I made it up. It was funny.
I've said what I need on the man, and it is what it is.
I call them sticky fingers. That's what I call them. I'm not getting you in trouble. I don't care if I get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm not big time like you. I don't get in trouble.
Just it is what it is. It's happened. I just hope the Jaguars find somebody that, like I said, I hope it's Byron Leftwich. I really do. I think
you would think that's who they would hire.
And then if it's not him, it has to be, to me, Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell is the definition of culture and building a good program the right way.
You know who it's going to be? It's Dan Mullen.
They're not going to hire another college coach. But, even though I saw a report today, they've talked to Jimbo Fisher.
Oh my God! I didn't know if that was real or not. I saw a picture.
I don't know if it's real or not, but it would be hilarious.
My God, why is everybody on Jimbo Fisher?
I don't know.
I don't think he's that great.
Oh.
I'm not going to get you in trouble because you have more of a college connection than I do, but I just don't think he's that good. I think Mike Leach is better. I know he won a national title. I don't really care, but
I don't know. I don't. I think he's a good football coach. I think he's a really good offensive mind.
He looks like a dad doing taxes on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, he has that look. I mean,
I had that, and I said, or a dad looking for the washer and dryer warranty. That's what it looks like on the sideline with his glasses and the folder.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, his teams. I mean, they're just good, and I don't know. It also comes down to fit, and I think he's a college coach.
Yeah, he's not going to the NFL. Dan Mullen wants to.
Pete Carroll was a pro coach before he went to USC, so that was already there. And honestly, I think if Urban Meyer wouldn't have got fired, Dan Mullins was going to be the offensive coordinator at Jacksonville next year.
Oh yeah, he doesn't want to do college no more. He doesn't want to recruit. Coach Napier's going to do a great job.
He'll end up like Tom Herman and be a quality control coach for a year.
He's on the Bears staff, isn't he? I think so.
Yep.
That's why he suck. Yeah, that's another problem. We were that close to him probably calling plays.
You still are.
Nagy's calling them right now. We're losing 10-3, if that tells you anything.
Like I said, you're still close.
Because if Nagy got COVID and Laser was out, we'd have to deal with Herman calling plays, and I changed my fandom. I'd become a Packers fan. That's how quickly I would have.
Oh, don't go to Packers. Go to the dark side. Go to New England.
Oh, speaking of which, at the time of this recording, Bennett is a Vikings fan. I forgot. We're losing 10-3 right now.
I want the Vikings to win enough so Mike Zimmer keeps his job because I really like Mike Zimmer.
The Vikings are just inconsistent with their quarterback play.
Well, that's because Kirk Cousins is a 8-8, 9-7 quarterback. He is not a playoff run quarterback.
No. That's another guy I can never figure out. He's either Tom Brady-esque or he is, I don't even know. It's just terrible. Yeah.
I mean, that's who they are. I mean, and the problem is they can't get another one because there's nobody in this upcoming class that's – I mean, this might be the worst – I mean, theoretically, if you listen to scouts, this is like the worst quarterback class in 10 since the Christian Ponder class.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that bad. So, I don't know.
But don't worry, Napier will do a good job at Florida.
I don't know if that's a good fit. I really don't. I think Napier's a fantastic coach. I just don't. I think that LSU would have been a better fit. I don't.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't know.
Someone said this to me, and I know you have a family and probably have to go soon, but someone did say this to me. I didn't think about it. Did the athletic department of LSU scare people? Because the standard is to win a title, but I mean, Ed's only a year and a half removed from winning a title, and they fired him.
Yeah.
So was that like a red flag because Lincoln Riley didn't go? Mel Tucker didn't go.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just got a bad gut feeling with that fit. I don't know why it is. Like I said, I think he's a great coach, and everybody I've ever talked to that's worked for him loves working for him. I got a bad gut feeling on that. I don't think it's a good fit for some reason.
I could see why the LSU one's better, but I think how they handle Ed is a red flag of like, do they want to go deal with that? I thought the Miami was a red flag of how they handled that. And I have a podcast episode on it. I did not like it.
No matter how they handle it, he was always going to go there.
No. I just didn't like how there's no athletic director at the time. Then the reports come out and say, if Chris Ball doesn't come, Coach, Diaz, we're going to keep you if he don't come. But if he comes, we're firing you. I did not like that.
No, that wasn't handled well. Like you knew where the end route was going. I was surprised Florida State didn't open.
I know. I was waiting for them to.
I don't understand why Florida college football programs are struggling in general right now.
I guess Florida State's facilities are terrible, so it's.
But it's not just them. Like it's FIU, US, like all of them are like outside of probably Central Florida. I mean,
they lose the recruits. They lose all the recruits because you got certain coaches in there that aren't recruiting well. The facilities were terrible.
And I get the SEC and the Big Ten are coming down there and rating it, but you should be able to keep kids in Florida.
Well, like Dan Mullen, if he's not recruiting, when he made the comment of like, this isn't recruiting season, this is football season, that was a red flag.
Like, I'm going down it right now. South Florida went 2-10 this year. Central Florida, so UCF went 8-4. Okay. Florida State went 5-7. Miami went 7-5. I'm scrolling down my list. FIU went 1-11. Florida Atlantic went 5-7. Who else am I missing? SEC. Florida went 6-6. I mean, just outside of Central Florida, I mean, they're not having much success across the board statewide. I mean, there's not. I mean, in all honesty, by a Central Florida standpoint, that's not a good season either. Central Florida won back-to-back 10+ win seasons. Like, so I don't know why they're. I mean, you could argue coaching, you could argue recruiting, but in the end, like, there's enough talent in that state.
Yeah, I don't know. They got to find a way to keep the recruits. I don't know. I thought Napier was a good hire, but maybe I should rethink it.
Well, I think he is a great hire, but I just don't like the fit, and I don't know why. My gut tells me it isn't, and I trust my gut. So I don't know. Like, and I feel bad for him because I think he would have been a great hire at LSU. I think if he would have waited for that Oklahoma job to open, I think he would have been great at Oklahoma. I think he'd been great at Oregon. I think he would fit better at Miami, or Florida. I think the best job for him would have been like if Florida State would have opened. I don't know. My gut says I don't know. Something seems off.
And then we'll see if Clemson can bounce back.
It doesn't help. Like, so they weren't great this year, and then his staff gets like just rated. So Tony, obviously, you lose your OC or one of them, then you lose your DC, and your DC takes like 5 support staff coaches with them, so like analysts to come with them. Like, I don't know if Tony Elliott took anybody with him. I mean, you're just losing staff across the board right now, and it's not. Yeah.
It took one bad year. and they're gone. It took one bad year, and they're gone.
Well, Tony Elliott's been on the verge of being out for years. I mean, he's turned down a job and always been convinced to stay. And then Venables, you knew Venables really wanted the Kansas State job a couple years ago because he's a Kansas State alum.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get it. But you always knew if Oklahoma opened again, he was going to be the dude. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he was always destined for that job. So,
especially because they're about to go to the SEC, I think he wants that challenge too. I think that was a part of it.
Well, that's that. And honestly, I thought a year ago when Texas hired Sarkisian, I would have gone straight after Venables
for the DC job.
No, for the head coaching job. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, I've thought for years, like, and this is where I felt bad for Bud Foster. Like him and Bud Foster, how Bud never got a job, and I don't know if he ever really wanted one. I never asked Bud that when I interviewed him, but him and Venables were like, you're talking about two of the most premier, not only defensive coordinators but culture guys in the country. How they don't have jobs yet. When statistically you look at it, who are the most successful coaches across the board? They're defensive coaches. Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, Mike Tomlin. Like, I mean, just Pete Carroll. I mean, Bob Stoops, who won forever, was a defensive coach. So, I mean, Kirby Smart at Georgia. I mean, you're just talking. Am I going to say every defense coach makes you automatically a winner? No, but there's coach after coach who's.
Fickell a defensive guy?
Fickell's a DC. Marcus Freeman just got the head coaching job. He's a defensive guy. Trying to go through. Mel Tucker is a defensive guy. I'm trying to think if there's any other major notable ones off the top of my head.
Don't tell me to shut up, but Bielema was too when he was at Wisconsin.
Yeah. I mean, Bielema's like both sides. Bielema is a defensive guy. He coached in the league, defense in the league. I mean, Kiffin isn't a defensive guy, but he's the son of one of the greatest defensive coaches to ever live, Monte Kiffin. I mean,
I'm really glad he stayed at Ole Miss. I'm on the record saying that, yeah, it would have been cool to see him go to LSU just because that's a big-time program. But I want to see him build something. Yeah. So I'm really glad he stayed.
I think the only job he was really going to leave for is Miami if Miami offered him.
Oh, yeah. I think if they came after him, he was gone.
I wouldn't be surprised if Florida State opens in a year if that's who they go after.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go to Deion first at this point because Deion, I mean, you can say what you want about Deion, but Deion's winning. And winning matters.
Oh, I think he played there too, right?
Yep.
But he did come out and make a comment about finishing what you started. He's talking about the transfer portal. He's talking about contracts.
You say that because you're employed now. Everybody says that. Like, whatever. I mean,
I'm ready for that Barstool documentary.
It's like Nick Saban saying, "I'm not taking the Alabama job," and then takes the Alabama job. Like, you have to say that publicly.
Or Lincoln Riley. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to be the head coach at LSU next day at 8 a.m.
Which is a factual statement.
It's factual, but the next day at 8 a.m., USC hires.
I mean, it's factual. I mean, at least he was honest.
Oh, what a jackass. But yes.
I'm just saying he was honest.
Did you see the picture of him in his USC polo with his Oklahoma shoes on?
Yes. Hey. It is what it is.
Hey, they're sweet J's.
Hey, get paid. I've said it before. Get yours while you can.
Well, Coach Bandstra, I told you this came off the rails very quickly.
It always is.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. It's been 1 hour and 20 minhad.
Yeah.
This is your 8th podcast of the day, I think.
Third or fourth technically, because I had Nate. I always pronounce his name wrong. Fannis, the linebacker coach at Ohio. Chandler Tygard, the head coach at Blackman in Tennessee. I had a defensive staff meeting this morning. I'm going to film a 8-man clinic tomorrow Try to get somebody. I mean, all right, man. Coaches don't get enough content, so I'm gonna try to get some stuff for them. And then I'm working on a couple people. I'm trying to get them on. I have a list of coaches I need to reach out to probably tomorrow. Talk to them about trying to come on. I have some heavy hitters on this list that I'm going to try to convince to come on, at least talk to me. And we'll see what happens. Kind of go from there. I locked down somebody. Who did I lock down for next week? Talked to somebody today, and I locked them down. Oh, yeah. I locked down Sheffer for next week to do a mini little clinic.
Old Sheffy hopping on.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, there's 4 of us in that little. Oh, there's technically 5 if I count myself. But I mean, you 4 have an open invitation anytime you guys want to come on. I mean, you guys know that. So anytime you want to do a clinic or something, and they don't have to be long. I mean, I got 5-minute videos on my channel. Like,
if you want to know about injuries,
you mean injury prevention 101? As we relabeled it in our chat, yes.
I will show you some injuries that you've never seen before. And in rapid time, mind you.
Injury prevention 101.
Or to see Steve throw his hat on the sideline multiple times, we could look at that. Or put.
We could do a 5-minute clinic on the art of throwing hats on the sideline.
I don't actually think I threw a hat this year. I think it. You see more of this. Like, what the hell?
I am kind of curious, like, if you did a clinic on like sideline gestures and hat throwing and all that, and how many views that would actually get.
Oh, if I found my Charleston one, when I was young.
I'm just saying. I'm curious to see how well that would be perceived. So I think it would do well.
Because when I was a 24-year-old OC, yeah. I remember taking my hat and throwing it on the field. And one time I about took the hat to throw with the headset on, and I hear, "No, don't throw the headset. It's expensive." That's a good idea. I'd have to find it.
I'm just saying. I think it would do well.
Make it a TikTok.
I don't do TikTok.
YouTube Shorts. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, but I'm good.
I think that's the new wave, Coach Bandstra. I think that's how people get views.
What, YouTube Shorts?
Yeah. That's the new way.
No. You can have the YouTube Shorts. I'll keep buying.
Hey, the Marvel one got 300 views in a day, and I was very impressed. To some people, 300 is not a lot, but for me, it's enough.
Oh, no, I mean, Bennett's video has 150 so far today.
Hey, if you're going to release videos, now is the time. So, we're all on Christmas break. It's the right time.
Oh, yeah, I got what? So to finish out my year, because I don't know when this is coming out. When is this coming out?
It's either going to be tomorrow or Friday, like Thursday or Friday. It's coming out this week.
Okay, so to finish out my year, so I'll have 2 more old man whiteboards. So I think we'll do 3-3 coverages this week, and what was the other one? I will tell you specifically. 3-3 run fits. They're just short little things. A buddy of mine who's coached for 30 plus years. We've done like a weekly release video. We're on episode like 31 or 32 of 35. We filmed 35 episodes. And then we also got John Arnett's podcast on Monday, which I think might be my best podcast so far. I'm not just saying that because it's the next one. I think it generally is really good. And then obviously I had Bennett released today talking buck and double wing. And then next year we're going to hit it off strong with, Scott Guillermo talking unbalanced spread, Tyler Manis. We talk kind of just defense. who you've had on here, Chandler Tigard's talking tempo and give me a second, analytics. Nate Fanis, Ohio University's linebacker coach, talking linebacker play. Jesse Saljar talking wide zone. We'll finish up the Old Man Whiteboard series in January, and then we'll have our first true clinic release towards the middle, end of January. Joey again came back on and talked 3 safety stuff. So like I said, I'm hitting the year pretty hard to start. I think we had a great group of coaches. Now I'm working on my February and March now, getting Sheffer on, Scott Kramer, AJ Knudsen, Chip Siegel, work on some 8-man videos. I'm trying to get some triple option practice clinics. I think that's a topic I'm really interested in. I tried to get last year that I wasn't able to get. But I'm very, yeah.
All right. Well, if people have made it through this whole episode, they'll know what's coming out now. If they can get through the rambling of what happened earlier. But, all right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I'll put Coach's 18,000 stuff in the bio that he does to go check it out. Check out all the affiliates in the description, and we'll see you guys on the next one. This will be out this week. So we'll see you guys next time.